Good evening, everyone. Today we are here for the seventh session of our youth empowerment seminar, which is on the topic bridging the gap between academic and corporate world. And we have got a very beautiful opportunity to hear about this topic from Mr. Jain sir. So let me take a brief moment and introduce Jain sir. So sir have completed his BTech degree from NIT Trichy and further his MTech from one of the most prestigious institutes of our India, that is Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Uh, and currently, sir is working as team lead and scientist at Tata Research Development and Design Center, TRDDC, Pune, and he is working there since 2007. Not only that, Sir has completed, Sir has over 20 international journals and conference publications with uh, with a patent on his name also. And Sir have won Best Poster Award at MD ATM in 2007 and 2010 as well. Mm. So, good evening, sir. Hello, am I audible to you?
Hi, Priyanshu. Good evening, and thank you for your kind introduction. It's really an honor and privilege to be amidst so many youngsters here. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for your kind invitation, and I look forward to this uh, seminar today. Yeah.
And we would like to thank you as well, sir, for giving your valuable time to us and being here. And we are very happy to have you here today with us. So I would like to give program in your hands. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Priyanshu, so much. So just before I start, I am 1 second. So am I visible and audible to everyone? Uh, I hope I am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
I am visible, right?
Yes, sir,
So
you are audible.
yes, so I am Vinay Jain. As Priyanshu introduced me, I work as a scientist with Tata Research, which is also known as Tata Research Development and Design Center. It is an R&D center at TCS. So as I have been working there for almost 14 years now, joined there immediately after my master's at ISC Bangalore. So today I have been given this topic of bridging the gap between academics and the corporate world. So the reason I suggested this topic was uh, that right after academics, people usually join the corporate world. People go to join a company and look forward to excel there, grow there, and uh, spend their entire careers there. So, yes, okay. So I thought that because the transition tends to be quite sharp at times, means academics is altogether different, while corporate world, is something very different, right? So the difference, the transition can be very sharp at times, right? You understand, right? So the transition meaning sharp, that it's not something that okay, it's just a smooth curve, right? It can be a very sharp peak. So so many people can get jittery in that transition actually, right? And may not be able to cope up with that transition. So I thought, why not share some experiences with you all regarding my own corporate life and what all experiences I underwent in that process. Okay, so and some lessons that I have learned from my corporate life and how it compares with my previously academic life at IISc and also at NIT Trichy. Okay, so I hope all of you are undergrad BTech students. Most of you are, I guess, first years, right? I presume that all of you are engineering students and mostly first year students, right? So, so with that understanding in mind, because I myself have actually done engineering only, so that's what my mindset is. So I can probably relate with you better than maybe some other students actually. So with that mindset, I will touch upon a few points today, which probably at your very beginning of your engineering degree, if you can imbibe some of these points, it would be it will help you. It may help you really have a smoother transition. I won't say it will be very smooth, but it can be much smoother otherwise than what people actually can end up in. Okay, so yeah, so what I would like to uh, talk about is a few qualities, not so much about aptitude, because most of you will have very good aptitude and very sharp brains and very sharp problem solving abilities and very wide range of skill set, right? That is okay, right? But what I would like to touch upon is a few qualities which you can actually invest in right from the beginning of your engineering career, and that would be really helpful in your corporate world. So how many of you, I would just like to know your interest, like how many of you would like to actually be be in the corporate world and be do successfully in the corporate world? How many of you would like to be like that, be successful in the corporate world? Aditya says everyone, but everyone is may not be having the same idea. They may be okay with doing something very average, or they may be content with some mediocre performance, or okay, they may want to do something else also, right? So everyone has his freedom, right? Everyone has his free will, so he or she is free to do whatever he wants to. So I just wanted to know your feelings, your thoughts, like how many of you would like to become a service, be successful in the corporate world, right? How many of you would like to see that you have a smooth transition into the corporate world? You are not faced with too many surprises when you enter into the corporate world. When you enter into the corporate world, you are kind of prepared mentally that what you are going to face. So that's something I would like to just maybe someone can unmute and maybe speak something what they think their engineering after their engineering, um, how they would see themselves in the corporate world. Just something, if someone speaks up, that would be very nice.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Uh, can I say something?
Yes, may I know who is speaking?
I am Vinayak.
Vinayak. Yes. Good evening, Vinayak. Yes.
So you told about after engineering what you see to yourself. So
Yeah.
my thought is I want to pursue the higher degrees or studies. So
Hmm.
I would rather try for 4 years engineering to bring up that skills which I want to require further. So it may be helpful mentally or both in corporate.
Hmm. You want to basically go for higher education, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then what after that higher education?
Uh, so after that, so I will be something in going to research areas that
Okay, research, but where?
we have in field like physics or in space.
Yeah, right. But means whatever you do, you do engineering undergrad, or you do a master's, you do a PhD, but then after that, I guess sooner someone is saying that voice is breaking. Is my voice breaking? Um,
No, so it's clear.
it's clear. Okay. 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 Thank you. So yeah. So once you complete your academics, be it masters or postgraduate or even undergraduate, eventually sooner or later you will be somewhere in the corporate world, right? Or even if not in the corporate world, say in some university as a professor, but that is also mostly like a corporate world only, right? So in any
Okay.
case, sooner or later you are going to land up in the corporate world, right?
Okay, sir.
So
Uh,
then, yeah, so then how do you see yourself being in the corporate world? For example, uh, tomorrow, suppose you are going to join a company, right? After some, assume that you have completed your undergraduate degree, master's degree, and whatever, and then you are going to join a corporate world. So how do you see yourself? Like, mm, do you see yourself as a successful person? Do you see yourself as a confident person? Do you see yourself as um, as a as a as an excellent uh, team man and things like that? So how do you, what qualities would you want to have in yourself?
so qualities, I should be prefer confident because uh, you know, confident may be better. So
Yeah.
that I should know what I have and what I have doing this corporate world.
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
Sir, one more question I have too.
Mm.
So
Mm.
why there is a gap between corporate world and academics? So
Okay.
what are the
So
reasons?
so we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that during a seminar, during the
Okay,
talk,
sir.
right? Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you, Vinayak. So what this talk wants to address is that, see, you have a certain kind of environment in the academic world, right? And the corporate world is a different kind of environment, right? Here you have an environment of writing exams. There you do not have such exams, right? You have to study books here, you have to take classes here, attend classes here, courses here. There it's not so much like that, right? Yeah, you may have some courses to attend and upgrade your skills, but not so much like academics, right? So here the expectations and the culture and the environment is completely different from the corporate world, right? Corporate world wants you to perform, wants you to excel, wants you to deliver, right? Academic world may not be like that necessarily, right? So there is a difference in environment, difference in culture, things like that. So we need to be prepared. If tomorrow we are going to join the academic world, well, your courses are one thing, one kind of preparation. The courses that you study, participants are advised to. Okay, yeah. So Priyanshu is saying something that at the end of the seminar, you all can ask questions. So in the interim, I will like to complete the talk, and then you can ask your questions. I will try to complete it by 7:45, and then you can actually whatever questions you have, you can ask. So basically, what I would like to touch upon is a few qualities that will help you in your uh, corporate world. Okay. So one of the important things that I have learned in my corporate life, one of the most important things that I have learned in my corporate life is that corporate life is not about individual excellence. It's not so much about individual excellence, right? But it is more about teamwork, right? Because you see, in if you compare corporate life versus academic life, you'll see that in academics, you study some courses, you prepare for them, you write exams, right? Have you ever written any exams which which are like jointly along with your other colleagues, other classmates? Do you have say, okay, part of this syllabus will be uh, your share of exam and part of that will be someone else share? Do you have exams that way in academics?
No, sir.
No, right? So everyone studies the same course, everyone writes the same exams, right? So it's basically your individual excellence which matters the most, right, in your academic world. So the better a individual is in his academics, the better he will score and the better he will be considered, right? And that's good actually. It helps in your individual excellence. But when you join the corporate world, you are usually in a group. You are working as a part of a group for a larger purpose, right? It's not just your individual excellence that counts there, but it's about teamwork. And when we work in a team, then what happens? What is the difference? Can someone say what is the difference that what is the main difference that that's created when you work in a team vis-a-vis working as an individual? What happens when you work as a team? What is the difference, excuse me, over working as an individual? We find our mistakes, okay, but more than that, there is something else. You just
we,
came
we,
to us.
we develop teamworkship as well as leadership qualities.
Yes, that is there, but there are challenges involved. I want to know about the challenges that are involved when you are working as a part of a team. What are the challenges? One major challenge that I am looking for. What happens when you start working as a team? Okay, I will give you a hint. So is everyone, are all five fingers the same?
No, not.
So what happens when you start working, these five fingers start working, say in a team, what happens? Someone is saying
Sir,
stereo.
everyone has different quality. If we
Yes.
work alone, we will have to pursue all those quality.
Okay. So then what is the challenge? Everyone is different. So what is the main challenge that happens when you start working together? You said the right thing. Everyone has different qualities. So suppose you are more intelligent than your colleague in the office, or you are faster. You do something very fast compared to your colleague. Okay. So then what happens? Suppose the work that you are assigned to, you do it very fast, whereas your colleague is somewhat slower in nature. So then what happens? What thoughts appear in your mind? What thoughts can appear in the other person's mind? What can happen? Any guesses? Any guesses? If you are superior to someone, or if you feel that you are superior to someone, that what will happen?
One might be overconfident.
Overconfident, yes. And then what else? If I feel that this guy is not very fast, I am very fast, then what can happen because of that thought?
There will be not much bonding between team members.
Very nice. There will not be much bonding actually. Thank you. Who said this answer? Who was the one who spoke this answer?
So I'm Vinayak.
Vinayak Unyok. Thank you, Vinayak. So what happens is that when we start working in a group, no, the ego starts showing up. When you are all alone, then there is, you are just competing against yourself mostly, right? Well, you are competing against others in exams, but it's not like your performance is dependent on his preparation or something, right? He does his own preparation, he scores his own marks, and you do your own preparation and you score your own marks in academics. But when you work in a corporate world, there are different people with different capabilities, different skill set, different um, aptitudes, right? So then what happens is that it leads to problem of the ego. Your ego starts creating a problem that, well, see, I am better than him, or I am better than her, or she is not so good, I am very good. She is such a slow person, I am very fast, right? So I am always punctual, I am always disciplined, I am always this, I am that. So that will create a problem of ego, right? And which is usually something very meritorious people very find it very difficult to adjust. I believe me, I have in my office, we have PhDs from the top universities in the world, MIT, Stanford, Berkeley, you name it and it is there. And I have seen that people from the top universities have this problem very much there, the problem of the ego. They think that individually they are much better than others, and therefore they find it very difficult to work in a team, right? Right? The ego creates problem, and you cannot work for the larger good of the team, right? So in that scenario, what should we do? What we should do is, instead of finding faults, we should see the good in others, because the goal is that we should know that we are working for the higher purpose, that is for the higher good of the company. We are not just working for ourselves, we are working for the company, right? We are working for a higher cause. So if we start finding faults in each other, that is not very conducive for the project, right? So it would be better if we see the good in others and if we can inspire them, right? There is oftentimes the example given of a fly. No, if you see a fly in a, if it goes in a beautiful garden full of beautiful flowers, right? The fly will not go and sit in the flowers. The fly will find one small place where there is little stool or little uh, some garbage, and it will go and sit there. That is the nature of the fly. But if you see a honeybee, the honeybee, even amid a place which is full of dirt and garbage and stool and all that, it will find one little flower or petal and it will go and sit there only, right? Because a honeybee is fond of nectar, and whereas the fly is fond of stool. So those fault finding people are you often compared to flies, who like going and sitting in one small um, uh, fault that may be apparent in the other person, right? He will go and find that fault in that other person. His nature is that he will see faults in others. There may be 100 good things, but still one fault, that person will like fly, he will go and try to see that fault only, right? So the choice is up to us, whether we want to become a fly or whether we want to become like a honeybee, right? So when we become like honeybees, we start seeing the good in others, right? And that helps the team very much actually. You imagine a scenario that you are a person who is seeing the good in everyone in the team, right? You are appreciating the good, right? And you are just neglecting the bad, you are neglecting the weakness. Because the fact is that no matter who you are, what you are, you will always have some weakness. Some weakness are there in everyone. We are not perfect human beings, right? So we all have our weaknesses, but we all have our strengths also. So when we see the good in others, then everyone is actually naturally inspired to work in such a team actually. and the whole team will progress, right? So that is a very important thing in corporate world, that instead of seeing the fault in others, you see the good in them, right? So if we can imbibe such qualities in our life, seeing good in others, not seeing the faults in others, right? Seeing faults in ourselves, that is very good. If you see the fault in yourselves, there is a scope that you can improve yourself. That is very good. But seeing the good in others and appreciating them, not artificially. You are not flattering them. You are not just saying that, oh, you are such a great person and this and that. No, no. You are telling what is genuine. What is genuinely there in that person, you try to appreciate, right? And that gives that person a lot of, that increases his own confidence, and that improves the relationship among the team members, right? So that is something that you all can try to cultivate right now in your college days, at the very inception of your careers, at the very founding days of your career. You can try developing such qualities, appreciating others genuinely, not out of some need, right? Or well, you have some agenda to meet, so you have to appreciate that person. Like, no, not like that, but out of genuine, sincere desire to help others, help everyone in their pursuit of excellence, help the whole team, right? So that is one thing that I wanted to say, that see the good in others and become a good team player, right? And then become a genuine well-wisher for all of them, right? We have to become genuine well-wisher, that may he also do very well, right? Not just me, right? Let the other person, let everyone do well in the team, everyone do well in the whole company, right? It's not very difficult. We can actually cultivate that quality, right? So and this quality, more than anything else, that being a good team player will actually carry you a long way in your career, actually, right? Being a very good team player, that helps, right? And we should not compete, right? Everywhere the world encourages that we become very competitive. We beat and defeat others, no matter at what cost. But that usually does not take us very far in life. Usually, when we are working as a team, we should not compete. We should complement each other, right? It's not a race that I will defeat the other person, because you are working in a team. It's not a question of defeating, but it's a matter of complementing. I hope you understand what's the meaning of compliment, right? Compliment means what the other person lacks, you actually offer those qualities, those skills, right? And what you lack, the other person compliments you with those skills. So in that way, you are complementing one another, right? And that way you actually make collective progress, right? In academic world, there is not much scope for complementing. Mostly it is competing. As I said, we all write our own exams, right? We all do our own assignments, mostly, right? We all learn our own whole syllabus ourselves, right? So it's mostly competing, right? There is not much scope for uh, complementing each other. You can't say that, well, you can prepare 2 chapters and I'll prepare the remaining 3 chapters and we both will write the exam jointly, right? It doesn't happen right that way. But in corporate world, you have to actually complement one another. That helps a lot. So try to develop these qualities actually. When you are as a student itself, try to imbibe these qualities, try to encourage others, try to see good in others, right? Try to engage in activities which have more of group, where you are made to work in a team rather than as an individual, right? There will be plenty of scope in your engineering education where you will get some chance to work in a team. So do that, and that way you will actually learn these qualities. Okay. Yeah. And I am from a research background. We work as a scientist, and I will tell you, in our company we see so many people actually competing. We are in the we have to publish papers, we have to write scientific articles. And there, you won't believe it that even scientists compete for name, fame, reputation, prestige, and whatnot, right? They are concerned whose name is first in the journal paper. Right? There will be, suppose, 4 authors to a journal paper. So who is the first author? And many times it so happens that the person who has done the majority of the work, his name has to be in the first place, but someone else actually puts his name in the first place and puts the rest, other people who has done, the other person who has done most of the work, as secondary authors. And that creates a lot of ill feeling among the colleagues. I've seen that actually. Just for name, that my name will be in the first place. So that leaves a very, very bad feeling in the whole team actually. And the whole team suffers, right? So it's not something very advisable. So uh, better than compete, uh, better complement each other, and become a good well-wisher for others, and don't hanker for credit. It's not about credit, uh, it's about the work of the team. So don't hanker so much for credit. While I did this work, so I should get the name and the credit and all this. No, don't worry about all these things. The credit will come. Credit will come in due course of time, actually. Right? Don't worry. I had an experience in my office with my boss, right? So he asked me once that there was a big project that had come from a customer, major oil and gas company, and I and my colleague and myself, we both worked in it. And the boss asked me one day that what have you done in this project? You have done nothing actually. Actually, that turned out to be a very successful project. We completed it very successfully. The customer was very happy. But after all this, the boss told me that your contribution has been nothing. You have not done anything in this project. Your contribution is nothing. The other person has contributed the most. You have done nothing, right? So he told me like this. Now imagine what will be my situation, because actually the fact is that the whole thing, the whole solution to that problem, the whole writing of the report, the communications with the customer, everything was being done by me, right? So, and the boss tells that you have not contributed anything actually, right? So then, but that was a scenario when I was forced to tell that, well, the fact is that the most of the I told my boss that, well, you don't even know, being in such a high position, being so qualified and being so experienced, you don't even know what are the facts, and still you are speaking like that. That's not befitting to your personality. It does not suit your personality, sir. I told him, you should at least be informed that who has done the work and who has contributed what. And then he became silent. That yeah. And anyway, that was one thing. And you won't imagine, I was being questioned for my integrity, I was being questioned for my contribution, I was being questioned for my competency. I didn't harp on all these things, I didn't boast about all these things. And you won't believe it that after a few days of all these things, there was a mail from one of the there was a mail to all of us, right? One letter which came to all of us, myself, my boss, and my other team members, that the paper, one of the papers that I had written for a journal, Indian journal, that was chosen for the best paper award for that year. And I was being nominated, I was being given the gold medal, as I had mentioned in my profile also, the SAIL Gold Medal Award. So that is something very big award in the Indian industry and academia, right? Gold medal. It's a real gold medal that you receive, right? That is to the best author for the whole year contributing to that journal, right? So within a few days of all this questioning that you do not have competency, you lack integrity, you lack this, that, within a few days, I was being nominated for this gold medal. And then what happened? all of these critics who were raising all these questions became silent, because nobody else in the whole company had won such an award previously, right? So that was something that I was getting. And I didn't brag for all this that I have done this, I have done that, I knew, I had faith that with time, if I'm sincere, I'm honest, I have my limitations, no doubt. But if I'm honest, I'm sincere, things will happen. So I kept getting such awards every now and then. And so critics were silent. So you don't have to basically compete for credit. You don't have to hanker for credit. Things will come, right? So in this way, these are like team dynamics. You have to work in a team and you have to imbibe these qualities, right? Even before, as a student, if you can cultivate these qualities, that will help you a long, long way in your corporate world, right? The other thing that I wanted to talk was be steady and consistent, right? Normally, we have seen in our engineering exams, engineering colleges, we just study before the night before the exam and we go and crack the exam. Enough for becoming a topper in the class, right? Just a night before the exam, if you study, that's good enough. I experienced that thing in my engineering days. I don't know what is the situation there, but that usually happens in engineering colleges. So what happens is that you start thinking that everything happens on the last day, right? You don't have to work before that. You can just relax. No, the better advice is be steady and consistent, right? Just like water droplets. If they fall on a big, gigantic rock, and if they keep falling, top, 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 over a period of time, those drops of water can actually uh, uh, break the whole rock, right? Create fractures in the rock, right? Just drops of water. Why? Because they have been steadily dropping there, right? So steadiness has a great impact, right? Although it can appear that it is something very insignificant, right? Steady effort, right? What is the point? I will work 2 hours today, 3 hours tomorrow. What is the effect, right? Instead, I will work whole night one day, I'll finish up the job. No, that actually does not happen for seriously difficult, complicated projects. You have to dedicate steadily your time daily, hour after hour, uh, week after week, month after month, year after year, and then you will get the result, right? So this steadiness is something very important which we can actually cultivate in our engineering days. We should be very persistent in our efforts. So one advice I would like to give here is in your engineering days also, what you can cultivate is steady study of your subjects. Steadily study your subjects. Whatever is taught today in the class, go to your hostel or go to your house, home, and study that thing, complete that up today itself, right? So that way you steadily work, right? And at the end of the day, when the exams are there, you don't have to panic, right? Many times exams create a panic situation, right? You are relying, you are thinking that one overnight study will help you, but then you realize that the syllabus is huge. Your overnight effort will not do, and then you are in panic situation. I have found myself in such situations several times, right? So instead of panicking in the last moment, work steadily. And so when the last moment comes, everyone is in panic situation, you are peaceful because you have done the preparation way beyond time, way before time, right? So that way you can be steady. The other thing I would like to say is one important thing: be respectful, right? Be respectful. That is something very difficult in today's day world, that giving respect to others, especially your colleagues and your supervisors and your bosses, it is difficult to be respectful at times, especially in the corporate world. I've seen people quarreling amongst themselves, right, with their colleagues, with their bosses, and then leaving the company out of frustration, right? It does not give a very good taste, right? Be respectful to your supervisor, be respectful to everyone, right? Someone criticizes you, accept that, right? No need to fight with him or her, right? Why do you criticize me? Yes, accept that criticism, take it in your stride, and go ahead actually. And as I said, things will come, success will come, awards will come, accomplishments will come, everything will come. But be patient, wait for your time, and things will come. But in the meantime, be respectful. Be respectful to everyone, right? Uh, if you are not respectful, then that can have serious in your career, in your life, uh, in your relationships with your colleagues, right? It can. Am I audible? Is there some problem with my sound? I just wanted to check that.
No, sir, it's clear.
It's okay. Yeah, thank you. So be respectful. Else, in a corporate place, it can create, it can have serious repercussions, right? For example, in some places, if you're not respectful to your boss, you can be fired out of the job, right? And getting another job is not a simple thing in today's day world, actually, no matter who you are, what qualifications you have, right? So you have to be respectful for your own good, but not just be respectful for that, but respectful genuinely, that he's a senior, he's an experienced person. We should respect them out of genuine understanding of how they have contributed more than what you have done to the company, right? So be respectful sincerely, right? And that will help you, because in a corporate world, inevitably there will be situations when you are blamed for, you will be criticized, you will be humiliated, right? There will be situations like that. So how do you tolerate such a situation? So be respectful and wait for your time, and things will happen, right? So be respectful to people, right? So how do we develop respect in your college days? Be respectful to your teachers. That's something very important, and I know it's very difficult. Mostly we are used to finding making fun out of our teachers, right? This teacher has this kind of hairstyle, and this teacher talks like this. This teacher has some strange habits, right? In this way, we are very much used to making fun out of our teachers. And that actually comes into our personality only. We start disrespecting anyone and everyone. That may sound cool, that may look cool, but actually that will make us fools in the long run, right? So better avoid this tendency to criticize teachers. It's not a very good idea, no matter who they are, what they are. In fact, our scriptures say that a teacher is a representative of God, right? So it's a very big thing, actually. If we respect our teachers, we receive their blessings. And when we receive their blessings, that will uh, that will hold us in good stead throughout our corporate life, actually. I still remember my childhood days. We will make fun in the class, we will joke in the class, we will play in the class, everything. But we will not disrespect the teachers. And especially when their birthdays come, we touch their feet and we take their blessings and we give them some gift, right? And in this way, they were very happy. They used to bless us before the exams. Suppose the board exams are there or some entrance exams are there, we'll go and get their blessings and they will bless us profusely. And I can say with a lot of confidence that it is their blessings that I could study in the topmost science institutes in the country today, and I could become a scientist today. It's a lot to do with their blessings rather than my own competency. So you can try it and you can see how you go in life actually. So seek their blessings and don't disrespect them. It's not a very good idea, right? So even in your college days, you can actually learn to respect your teachers. The other thing that I would like to say is practice cleanliness, basic cleanliness, because I have seen people who have just come from the engineering college and coming into the company. Sometimes they take bath, sometimes they come in Hawaii chappals and they have their shirts untucked and they don't shave properly and they don't dress properly, right? Because that's what they were used to in their engineering college, right? So that does not give a good impression to your supervisors, to the company, and that does not increase your confidence either. When you are well dressed, when you are neatly dressed, right, you remain neat and clean and you take a bath at least. I remember my Trichy days when people used to compete that how much delay they can do in their bath. Means people used to say that I have not taken bath in my 3 days, last 3 days. 3 days, I have not taken bath in my 7 days. So that way they would compete, right? And they would make you appear as if like not taking bath is a fashion and it's something very cool, right? But it's not something very cool. And you may say that, well, in the college I may not take bath, when I go to the company I'll start taking bath daily. But the point is that the habits, old habits, die hard. So those habits come with you and they will reflect somehow in your personality. So learn to remain clean externally, stay well dressed, not gaudily dressed, not something very fashionable. Stay clean, stay nicely dressed, and nicely shaved, and take bath daily. So this is something very, very important. Cleanliness, right? You send across a very strong impression, strong message by how you look externally. And more important than external cleanliness is internal cleanliness, how your mind actually functions, right? Oftentimes I have experienced engineering college people, mind is completely cluttered with so much unnecessary things actually, right? It's not a very good idea. The mind should be clean as well. And how do you practice that cleanliness of the mind? Can anyone suggest how do you keep the mind clean?
By reading and listening good things.
Yeah, very nice point. By reading and listening good things. And what else?
By
Any?
chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
My God. Yeah, that is specific mantra chanting. But basically, you can practice some meditation. You can read some good books which infuse in you many positive thoughts, right? Instead of watching some nasty things and nasty magazines, you can become used to reading some good books, practice some meditation, which will pacify your mind, right? I remember in my IASC days, I used to practice pranayam in the morning and the evenings. And you won't imagine that very, very complicated problems. No? While doing that pranayam, I would get the solution to all that. And in fact, I will know today what I am going to do in the lab. I would finish up my work in practically an hour or so, and then I would be free because during my meditation, I would get those insights. Or after the meditation, the mind would be so clear that I know clearly what exactly I have to do during the day, and I don't have to slog during the whole day. My lab mates, my other classmates would work the whole day and whole night in the lab, but I would finish up the work in 1 hour or something, and then rest of the day I'm free. I would go around the beautiful IISc campus and see the trees and the foliage and enjoy nature. And I got the best grade in my project. At IISc, my project was adjudged the best for that year in masters. So it's not that I just did some some third class project. No, I got the best grade in IISc in my master's batch for my project. And I used to work hardly half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours max. That's all. That's because I used to practice some pranayam, meditation. You can try practice such kind of meditation, right? So remain clean internally and externally, and it helps you a lot in your career, right? And the last thing, final thing that I would like to say is communication. Many of you, I don't know how many of you, but many of you may struggle with having good communication skills, right? You may say that I'm from a village background, I'm not so conversant with English, and I cannot write so well. But I can tell you, in your corporate world, communication plays a very important role. Your technical skills notwithstanding, you may be having very good technical skills, but the problem is you have to write emails, you have to write reports, you have to make presentations, you have to talk to so many customers, you have to talk to your colleagues, and you cannot afford to have bad communication skills. And it's imperative, therefore, that right from now itself, when you are in the first years, try to cultivate, try to learn excellent communication skills. Not excellent, but some decent communication skills. You should be able to speak properly, you should be able to write properly, right? Today's age, when we are WhatsApp, when we are used to so much WhatsApp communication, we just, I don't know, that symbols, that okay is written as just K, that's all, okay. And even you cannot type those 2 letters, 1 letter, right? And you just write some sentences in shortcut and finish your communication. That's not something very good actually for your corporate communication. You have to write reports. You cannot write it in shortcuts. You have to write in detail. You have to have good English. And that's something really helps. I've seen my colleagues, I've seen my teammates who are very good technically, but they are struggling badly with communication, and that's something that makes them very hesitant also, right? Naturally, if someone cannot speak properly and write properly when they are interacting with some others, especially from those who are from the US or Australia or Canada or Western countries, English speaking countries, they very hesitate to open their mouth because they cannot speak properly, right? So it's imperative that we learn very good communication skills. So that's something that we can practice now. It's not something that will happen overnight. I have seen my colleagues, they have taken courses after courses in English, but they cannot improve their English. They find it very difficult, right? So right now is the time when you can actually develop good communication skills. It's extremely important, I will tell you. That's what I have seen. Otherwise, it's a major handicap in your um, um, career actually, right? So develop it, and it won't happen overnight. It is something that will take some time. So develop it now. You have enough time to develop such skills, right? Communication skills is very important. So with that, I will end my talk. So I'm not sure how if the message how the message went across you, how whether you appreciated the message or not. But that was a short this thing, lot to speak, but the time is limited, so I have to stop here. And basically, just to summarize, I talked about a few points that you can actually imbibe in your life right now in your college days, so that you can end up being a very, very successful corporate. So one is that being a very good team player, right? It's not about individual capability, it's about team skills. How do you work in a team? And that means you see the good in others, you encourage others, you inspire others, right? Instead of seeing their faults, right? Right? Don't hanker for credit, but uh, give credit to others, right? Thank others, give the credit to others. No, you are responsible for this success, I'm not. It's because of you the project has succeeded. So express it to others genuinely, that what he has contributed is something very significant. that you can do, right? Be a genuine well-wisher, right? Don't compete but complement, right? Right. Okay. Yeah. So, and then we discussed other things. Be steady and consistent. Don't rely on night outs and overnight efforts. That does not succeed much in the corporate world. Be respectful to everyone. That's something very important, right? By respecting others, we appreciate them. We uh, uh, we 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 help them grow in confidence, and we win their confidence also, right? When we respect others, so it's very imperative that we respect others, and when we respect others, especially seniors, we receive their blessings. So respect your teachers, respect your seniors, everyone actually respect them, and be clean mentally and externally. It sends a very strong message, cleanliness, and learn very good communication skills. Practice it now. Okay, so with that, I will end my talk. Uh, if there's any questions, any comments, any feedback, you're most welcome.
If anyone have any questions, they they can ask them to Shana, and please feel free to ask. Don't be
Yes,
hesitant.
anything, because the thing is, time is limited, so I cannot touch upon many things. I thought these are the few vital points that I would touch upon from my own experience. Many things I could not share, and many things I could not touch upon. So if you have any doubts, any things, uh, that will be very good, not only for you, but for others as well. So don't hesitate. Okay, so let me ask. So how did you find this seminar? Did you find something? Did you learn something useful? Did you gain some inspiration from it, or what else? What's something that you learned from this seminar? Can someone say?
Bhushan, Vinayak, and Hmm. Okay. Pranav is saying in the chat box, sir, uh, uh, some really good qualities that Pranav learned about in this seminar.
Yeah,
Anyone
some
else have to share anything?
Pranav, some really good qualities. Okay. What is the best thing that you learned in the seminar?
Sir, see good in others and appreciate them.
Ah, appreciating others and seeing good in others. That is something very important, actually. So, imbibe that quality right now, not just superficially, but genuinely from the heart. Appreciate others. It does not cost you much, actually. It is really very good, actually. In developing good human relationships and um, in any field of life, actually. In fact, I heard recently that in your career, initially you need to have good competence to start your career, right? You need to have good grades, you need to have good competency and good skill set and all this to start a career. But what will help you maintain that career and what will help you maintain yourself in a very high position in your career is how do you maintain good relationship, right? It's not necessarily that if you have competency you keep going higher and higher. No, not necessarily competency. It's about how you relate with others, how you develop good relationship with others, and based on genuine appreciation, not superficial. Don't start flattering others that okay, you are this, you are that, you are great, you are uh, someone extraordinary. Not like that. Say something genuine. Wow, your handwriting is something first class, right? Your
I was having a question.
yes, very nice.
Sir,
Yeah.
there is always someone who is always at, he is the cause of that team is lagging behind. So how to deal with such kind of person so that his willpower will also not affected and he will work accordingly.
I didn't get your question. Can you repeat it once again? I'm sorry.
Yes, so sorry, sir. Sir, I was telling that there is always a person. There is always a person who
Yeah.
pulls the team behind because of his work. So how to deal with such kind of person so that his willpower will be not affected by my talk and he will be working according to so that the team will progress.
Okay, I get your question. So let me clarify it. So what you are saying is there will be always someone in the team who can actually pull down the efforts of the team, right? He can pull down. Maybe he is not so efficient or he is not so hardworking or whatever. He may pull down. And how do you actually help him so that you don't find fault in him? And at the same time, you can actually help him in a way that actually helps the whole team grow. Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's a very good question that in a team there can always be some persons like that, right? So first of all, you have to see what is your position within the team and what is your authority within the team, right? For example, someone who himself is a very junior team member, he cannot correct others many times, right? He cannot offer corrections to others, right? But he can of course appreciate others, he can help others, and most importantly he can become a good example for others, right? So first and foremost duty of ours is we do our duty to the best of our ability. Okay, that is our first duty, right? So for everyone it applies, whether you are a new joinee or you are a team lead or you're a boss, your duty should be done very nicely, right? Then your actions themselves will speak louder than your words, right? And if you have the um, you have the relationships with that person, you can encourage that person in some way that well or you can help them in some way, that if that person is finding it difficult, then you can maybe share some of his work and help him in doing it. Or if he does not have some certain skill set, you can help him that well, you can do this work in this way and you can do this work in that way. And definitely every person has some good qualities, so you can appreciate it. There is no loss, right? No matter how bad that person is, you can still see that good in someone. Example of that honeybee who always finds out a flower even made dirty things and goes and uh, tries to get the nectar. So when we see the good in others, we are like that honeybee. So remember that example, right? So and then with that intention, you start seeing the good in them, you appreciate them, right? And then you will see gradually that person will grow, right? That's all that you can do, right? You are, if you are a team lead or supervisor, then you may be in a position to correct that person, or you can take more actions for that person. uh, that's a different thing. But as a team member, you do not have much of that authority to offer corrections and uh, to do different other things, but at least you can encourage that person or you can help that person. And best is you can set an example by your own actions actually, how to act, right? So that we can do actually. We should do our own duties very nicely, and many of the things the team lead or the supervisor will take care of, right? So that way we can actually do the best for that person, I think, right? Because many times we cannot offer corrections to others. You cannot say directly that, well, you are wrong here, you are wrong there, because he may not take it positively. He may not take it. If the team lead says, he has the authority. So if he says, then that person may take it. But if we say, then it may not work, right? So we better appreciate and we try to help him. And yeah, in that capacity we can help him. And if he himself tells that, well, I have this weakness, can you help me? Then you can offer your corrections and whatever. So am I clear? I don't know if my answer clear.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Anything else?
So I think there are not a lot of questions. So sir very beautifully explained everything to us, and uh, I would like to thank you, sir, for such a wonderful session again. And I remember you saying that transition from academics to the corporate world is hard, uh, and I am quite sure that your advices will help us, will definitely help us in making this transition smoother. Thank you very much, sir, for being here, and uh, uh, we are waiting for your further association as well. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to see you all again soon. Yeah. Thank you very much. Good night. Bye bye.